Well, everybody, the Cleveland Browns finally have their brand new defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz. Now, Jim Schwartz, not the most exciting name. A lot of people, including myself, wanted somebody like Brian Flores, but Jim Schwartz was right up there. A lot of people in the media, especially here around Cleveland, wanted Jim Schwartz, primarily Tony Grossi. He wanted Jim Schwartz, and I think this move is kind of like the best of both worlds, in my opinion. I think this is a good hire. Not really the flashy type of pick of Brian Flores, which I would have liked, but Jim Schwartz, he's fine. He's not going to blow your socks off, but he's fine. Now, there was reports last night from Mary Kay Cabot who said that the Browns were very interested in Sean Desai. They had his interview last night, and the interview went very great. And Mary Kay Cabot reported that as soon as today, Sean Desai could have been the defensive coordinator. But everything switched to this morning, where eventually it came out that Jim Schwartz was chosen for the job. Now, in my opinion, I think this is a good hire. Jim Schwartz is a seasoned veteran. He's been around in the NFL since 1993. He was actually on the coaching staff with Bill Belichick when he was still the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. That's how far back we're talking about here. So he's got 30 years of experience here in the NFL. He's been a defensive coordinator, defensive assistant to everything, assistant coach. He's been a head coach in Detroit. So he has a ton of experience, and that was one of the things that we were thinking about when we were looking for our defensive coordinator, right? At least some Browns fans were thinking, hey, we probably need to find somebody who has head coaching experience just in case Kevin Stefanski falls on his face again, right? The last 2 years he's done so, right? So Jim Schwartz kind of gives you a little bit of everything. He kind of gives you that head coaching experience. He can give Kevin Stefanski some leadership, some input when it comes to head coaching and coaching, the overall team. But he's also been around a long time to know what he's doing, and that's the problem with Joe Woods had when he was here. And from reports, they said that Joe Woods pretty much had free reign to do whatever he wanted to do with the defense. Okay, and it's not as good when you have a first-time defensive coordinator who's only been around for 3 years as a defensive coordinator. Not really the best idea, in my opinion. You're also having a first-time head coach in Kevin Stefanski. So not the greatest idea to put those two together and kind of let Joe Woods do his own thing. And you kind of saw the mess that the defense became in 2022. But at any rate, the Jim Schwartz hire is pretty good, in my opinion. Primarily because he focuses on one position, and that is the front seven. He is a front seven hawk. He kind of lets the secondary go off of the front seven, which is pretty good because the Browns have a really, really top-tier secondary. They have three great cornerbacks in Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson Jr., and Denzel Ward. John Johnson III is still a good player. They're just not utilizing him right, in my opinion. Grant Delpit showed signs of being a good player last year, especially the second half of the year. So you have players in the secondary. The problem is that the Browns don't really have that many people up front. Myles Garrett is pretty much your only stabilizing force, or at least the only force you have on the defensive line. And then your linebacking core was just injured to hell last year. You had 4 guys going out with season-ending injuries. That's just not going to cut it. JOK, Anthony Walker are pretty much your 2 solidified linebackers, at least starting caliber linebackers. But what Jim Schwartz, I'm still thinking Joe Woods. Jim Schwartz does is that he does a very, very, very similar thing to Joe Woods. He's in a 4-3 defense, but the catch is that he does something called a wide 9 stance. Now you can see from the picture here on your screen, this is when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles back in 2017 when they won the Super Bowl. And just look at where the defensive ends are lined up there, okay? Now, normally, as you probably can watch, defensive ends are usually lined up between either the tight end or the tackle on both sides of the offensive line. Well, here, what Jim Schwartz wants to do is get around the offensive tackles, okay? He wants to get around them and get to the quarterback. That's his bread and butter of his defenses, okay? They have a lot of high sack rates, okay? That's his number one goal, is to get to the quarterback. He's said that as such many times before. And he's also gone on the record saying if we can stop the run while also getting the quarterback, he'll take that as well. So primary focus, you guys need to remember, or you guys need to know, when Jim Schwartz becomes the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns in real-time games, okay? His primary focus is to get to the quarterback, and his defenses have had success. Now, the problem is that he's had a lot of different talent when he's gone to different teams, okay? He's had Fletcher Coxes, he's had the Albert Hainsworths, okay? He's had very, very good defensive tackles to work for, and that's where his bread and butter lies, is in those interior D linemen. The problem is that the Browns, we don't have any of those, okay? Taven Bryan is mediocre at best. Tommy Togiai is terrible. Jordan Elliott's terrible. I mean, we really don't have that many people, at least solidified, proven people. Perion Winfrey showed flashes, but he has character issues, so you don't know how much longer he's going to be around if he keeps messing up, right? But then you also have people on the outside. You know, Myles Garrett needs some help. Jadeveon Clowney just blowtorched every single bridge on his way out here, out of Cleveland. Then you also have, Alex Wright, who's the third-round pick from last year, or a fourth-round pick from last year. You also have Isaiah Thomas, who showed flashes last year. So you have pretty much two other people who are on the defensive end. They're not going to give you, a lot of stats, but they're decent enough, okay? Now, in my opinion, you guys should look out for the Browns to sign a top-tier defensive tackle. I think that's going to be their primary focus in the offseason, including the draft. In my opinion, if you're able to get Daron Payne from the Washington Commanders, hopefully he's not going to get franchise tagged or signed to another contract, but who knows? Hopefully, if Washington does not want to give him a giant contract because he's just so good, he can plug up the middle like nobody else in football. He can probably, you could probably get him here on a big contract. Also try and get at least a serviceable defensive end, a starting caliber defensive end at least. I think that's what you need to focus on in the free agency period. That's definitely what Jim Schwartz has been specialized at. He specializes in getting very, very quality defensive linemen in here. So if I'm the Browns, I would look for Daron Payne. I'd also look for DeForest Buckner if you're not able to get Daron Payne. I would love DeForest Buckner on this team. He's a pretty good defensive player. He can get to the quarterback. Those are my top two guys. The only problem is that those are everybody else's top two guys who need those positions, right? So if you're the Browns, if you're Browns fans and you want to know what are you looking for or what is Jim Schwartz going to be looking for, look towards interior defensive linemen. Look for guys who can get to the quarterback. Look for guys who can just plug up as many holes as possible in order to buy time for the defense to get to the quarterback. That is Jim Schwartz's number one goal. That's been his number one goal forever now, at least. He's been wanting to get to the quarterback, and he said so as much. So that's what we're going to have to look for. And now it's game on. It's game on for Kevin Stefanski. If next year it does not go his way, we're probably going to be back to another head coaching search. But that's Jim Schwartz for you guys. A quick introduction to him. It's not the only stuff that's out on him. I encourage you guys to go check out some other videos by other creators who've done research on Jim Schwartz. Read some articles about Jim Schwartz. I also forgot to mention, Pittsburgh has had a tough time against his defenses. There's an article I read as well that have said that the Steelers especially struggle against Jim Schwartz's defense. So if that's the case, if that can be held up while he's the Browns defensive coordinator, then we should be in a good position with Jim Schwartz. Now, I will say this as well, okay? I am not here to get your guys' hopes up, okay? I want that to be clear. I am not getting your guys' hopes up. I'm not trying to, and I don't want you to get your hopes up because you know why? They do this every single offseason. We get our hopes up, and then we eventually get them crushed, okay? I am in a wait-and-see mode. Right now on paper, the hiring of Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator is a pretty good sign, okay? It means that they're probably looking into upgrading that front seven, which they desperately need, okay? I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do, but on paper, that and history, as history has shown with Jim Schwartz and his history, that is definitely in the realm of possibility, okay? But it doesn't matter if it's good on paper if it sucks when it's translated out on the field. And we saw that last year when everybody was spouting that the Browns were going to have a top 5 defense, and we were the bottom 5 for 2/3 of the season. So, not here to get your guys' hopes up. I'm just giving you guys a quick introduction, a quick rundown of what to expect, at least what to expect of Jim Schwartz, okay? I'm not saying this is what he's going to do, but this is what you should be expecting him to do, okay? As from what he's done in the past with other teams, this is what he should be doing with the Cleveland Browns. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm not saying he's going to do all the things that I've mentioned, but that's what he is known for, and that is what he has done in the past, okay? So, anyways, that's going to do it for me. That's the quick introduction to the Browns' new defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. If you guys are new and you want videos more like this, I do these types of videos every single week. Hit the subscribe button, like the video. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're on our way there slowly but surely. I think we're at 518, 519. So if everybody subscribed who watched these videos, we'd be pretty much almost already there. So if you guys have not hit that subscribe button, hit it now. I do these types of content every single week. And I will hopefully see you guys all in another video. We're going to be live streaming the AFC and NFC divisional games here coming up this weekend. So make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. And I will see you guys all in another video. Take care.